Hi, I'm sorry I missed class today. I had an emergency with my son, but he's fine. Because I missed class, I wanted to talk to you about the chapter that we're working on and how to integrate it into your paper. So I did a little PowerPoint here that I'm going to send to you, but I wanted to talk you through it a bit. So with the chapter, what you're going to be doing is looking at issues of loyalty. And there's basically, I know the chapter's difficult and there's some things in it that are hard to understand, but basically you could say that there's two views of moral obligation in the chapter. One is that modern liberals believe that all loyalties are universal. So you're just not to harm anyone and you have to treat everyone equally. But all other acts of loyalty need to be voluntary. Critics of this believe that we're obligated to actually help those and do things for those that we share some sort of identity with. So, and that we don't have a choice in doing that. Those could be friends, family, or even people that we share race with, or ethnicity, or citizenship. And so they believe we're obligated to the people in our community as well as the traditions that derive from those communities. So why this gets tricky is that you could have someone, like in this first picture, you'll see this is Laredo, Texas. It's just across the Rio Grande, the river from Nuevo Laredo, Mexico. And the critics would say that the people of Laredo have more moral obligation to the people of Alaska in the bottom picture than they would to the people across the river because of citizenship. So even though they might share climate, they might share landscape, they might cross each other's borders, they would still feel based on citizenship that they would have more obligation to the people of Alaska. So the other thing that comes up in here is the idea of patriotism. Now we saw an extreme example in the film with patriotism sort of getting behind killings and things like this. But in the book they're talking about the different views of patriotism. Modern liberals think that patriotism is a little bit suspect. It signals maybe an obligation to citizens with whom you don't agree, or a country with whom you don't agree, your own maybe. And then they say it's fine to have and demonstrate this feeling of patriotism if it's voluntary, but it can't be prescribed. Critics say we have a moral obligation to citizens and governments, and no consent is needed. And that people owe their governments and their citizens support because of what they give you. So there's they have to repay and be able to, we owe them because we get things from other taxpayers and from the government. So how are you going to put this in the essay? So basically you have to think of it this way. If you agree that someone is obligated first to his or her family, Paul in the movie, or Dio going back home, without consent, not because they choose to, but they have to, then you would agree with the critics. If you believe that we have a universal obligation to all humanity first, and then we can choose one group over the other freely, then you agree with modern liberals. So if you believe that the UN should have done more for, they should have saved, the US should have tried to save the people of Rwanda, then you would believe in the modern liberal. If you think, well, the country maybe shouldn't have, maybe we shouldn't have gotten involved in that war, then you would probably be more with the critics. So either way is fine. You can get as good a grade on the paper depending upon which one you choose. It doesn't matter. I just wanted you to be able to apply it. On Tuesday, we're going to finish talking about this in the book part, looking at some passages, and I'm hoping we can work on some thesis statements. We're also going to do a paraphrase exercise, and so I think that's going to take up a good chunk of the time, and we might also have some outside observers coming in to observe the class from one of the local high schools. So if you have questions, totally feel free to email me. I know tonight's the last night to drop, so if you're on that borderline and you're not sure, please contact me and I can talk it over with you. I am going to go teach a class at 6:30, from 6:30 to 8:30, but after that I'll be available if you want to email or text. I hope you guys had a nice day. Thanks.